There we go. Good Monday morning. Oh, let me see. I think I'm a little too loud. Good Monday morning to you. How are you doing? Welcome to Win Your Week, Retail Leadership with Steve Worthy. I'm telling you what, I get excited every morning, every Monday morning when I do these. I really do. I'm not an excitable person. Well, maybe I guess I'm lying. Let me stop lying. I am an excitable person. I get hyped. I get excited about things that help people move, right? Help people do things that they don't normally think about doing. So today's topic, we are going to be talking about how do we get ready for 2024. I know a lot of you right now are in the throes of Q4, and it's so hard. It is so hard to think about 2024. But I got to tell you right now, if you're not thinking about 2024, right, you're gonna lose ground. Here's why I liked this time of year. Well, before I get started with that, I'm going to talk about that in a second here. Hello, Monty. Hello, everybody that's looking and listening to this on LinkedIn, YouTube, and also our Facebook group as well. So thank you all for being here this morning. As my guy Jay-Z says, you could have been anywhere. Thank you. You could have been anywhere in the world tonight, this morning, but you're here with me this morning. So we're gonna rock it out, and we are gonna have some fun. So here's why I love this time of year. Here's why I love this time of year. Because if this time of year is a culmination of everything that you should have been doing from Q1, Q2, and Q3. Q4 is nothing but that. It is a culmination of everything. So let me tell you what, if you rocked it out, Q1 through Q3, guess what? You are basking. You are like, you are living in the results. I'm going to start my timer here. You are living in the results of everything that you put together, right? It's good, bad, or indifferent. Good, bad, or indifferent. So that's where you have to think about what was your Q1 through Q3 like. If you're kind of finding yourself strapped for time and not having the ability to kind of think about some of the things that we're going to be talking about today, then that's where we have to think a little bit differently as we approach Q1. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So I'm jumping right into, let me make sure here. I'm jumping right into our inspiration, So this one, I think did I use this one before? Those of you who've been watching me in the morning, let me know. I don't know if I use this one or not, but here's why I'm using this one again. Because as I think, as we move into Q1, I am all about action. Action beats intention all day long. This is actually going to be the model for our community, the campus, and we'll be talking about that here shortly. This is the model for our community. Action beats intention all day long. When you think about this time of year, as I've spoken several times, it has to be all about action. It's about movement, right? It's about movement of talent, and it's about movement of product this time of year. But when we start to think about you as an individual, you have to think about the action, the intentional actions that you need to take. Intentions are great. Intentions are great. I love people who have intentions to do X, Y, and Z. I completely understand that. But if you as a retail leader, when you start to think about where you currently are in your journey, right? I'll be talking about being selfish here in a second. When you are thinking about where you are in your journey, the more often than not, what we see is that there has been a lack of action. There has been a thought process. There has been, I'm going to write my goals down. I'm going to kind of like talk about resolutions. I'm going to do all these different things. But there hasn't been a lot of action. I really want this year to be a year of action for you. I want 2024 to be a year where you start to think about where it is that you truly want to go. And you can make it happen. And you can make it. I am not a rah-rah, like, get the pom-poms and cheerleader out. Like, I am a guy of action. And I want you to understand that for you to do things differently and for you to actually have something different in your journey, in your leadership, you got to go out and get it, man. You got to go out and do it. You have to. When I sit down with my team, and we would talk about all the different things that they wanted to do, one of the first things that I would actually say, what have you done? Right? We can sit here and talk about all the different things. I want to be, Steve, I want to be a group vice president. Steve, I want to try to go, I even do this with my coaching clients as well. I want to do this. Okay, well, what have you done so far? Well, right now, I'm not particularly sure what it is what I need, the steps that I need to take. Okay, great. That's a great foundation. Let's go ahead and build upon that. Let's go ahead and build upon that idea of where it is that you want to go. Now let's figure out some action steps, and then send them off for a week, 2 weeks, maybe a month. They come back, and if they haven't done anything with the conversation, whose fault is that? You have to be able to take action. Action beats intention all day long. And speaking of action, I need you to be a part of the campus. We are rolling out the campus January 10th. Our campus is an action-based learning community for senior retail leaders. There are a lot of communities out there. Our focus is on the solution side of your leadership journey. you can actually come in and get exclusive resources. You can get exclusive content, exclusive communication and engagement for your specific leadership journey. What I see all the time is that there are a lot of leaders who know that they actually have a problem, but they don't know exactly how to solve that problem. They don't know what the necessary steps are for them to get to the next rung in that ladder of their journey. The campus is that solution place. It's that solution. It's that place where you can actually come and actually deal with and be with like-minded individuals. You can connect with us at Worthy Retail Campus right now. We are running, of course, a first 100 founder exclusive, for everybody who joins now up until January 10th. You can go there. You can actually see what the annual and also what the monthly rate is for those individuals who join right now. We also have corporate slots. So if you have a team of individuals that you want to actually be a part of this, please make sure you let me know that as well, and we will make that happen. We actually already have a couple of companies signed up, bringing their teams in, and we are going to have some exclusive spaces for those individuals, and also content for those, and also resources for those companies as well. On December 14th, those who are already part of the campus, I will be doing a tour. You can join the campus for free if you want. But of course, the resources, the things that you will receive from a free standpoint are going to be vastly different for those who have actually become a paid member of the campus. You can come to this event and you can actually get a tour of the campus, the resources, all the different things that we are actually going to be providing inside of it, and also making sure that you understand a little bit more about what you're going to be getting when you become a member of the campus. All right, so let's move into, where is it at? Okay, there we go. Let's move into this. 3 things to hold on to for 2024. 3 things to hold on to for 2024. So as I always want to do, I want to set expectations and also make sure I do some foundational thoughts. But I want to also say hello to Monty over there on YouTube, Matt Haas over there on Facebook, and of course Florence. How are you doing, Florence? Florence is over there on YouTube as well. So, and I know we have several people who are actually over here on LinkedIn that are listening and absorbing this information. All right, cool. I always want to set foundations real quick. I have 27 minutes, and we're going to get through all of the foundations, and we're going to get through the 3 things that you need to hold on to as you move into 2024. So this is definitely going to be a year of transition. I know, Steve, 2024 is always a year of transition. I mean, every year is a year of transition with different leadership. This year is going to be different. When we start to look at the landscape of retail, everything is starting to change. We see foot traffic down. We start to see different leaders, and what I'm seeing is I'm starting to see different leaders who are actually really striving to kind of better understand what their value system is, and we'll talk about that here in a second, and what they really value, right? The last several years, we have seen more people, whether you want to call it quiet quitting or anything along those lines, we have seen more people really kind of try to get a better understanding of who they are and where it is that they really want to go, but more importantly, what it is that they really, really want. And retail leaders have almost kind of been lagging, if you will, in kind of taking on that mantle. They have kind of like now started to realize that, hold it for a second, this company that I've been loyal to for so many years isn't loyal to me. This company that I've put so much blood, sweat, and tears in, I'm not really getting the benefit of from a developmental standpoint. So you're going to start to see a shift in mindset. Transition starts from a mental piece. It starts with a heartfelt understanding of that there is possibly something wrong with where I'm currently are. But here's the other thing with transitions. These may be going really well for you, and you may feel like you're fine with where you are. But dare I say, dare I say, it is always important for you to start to think about transitions before it's time, before it's necessary. I would always tell my team, I would always tell my team, um, change before it's necessary. And I just wanted to make sure I said good morning to Christopher and Royanne over here on LinkedIn as well. The comments were kind of a little lagging over there. I just want to make sure I said good morning to both of you. You know, and when you get to this point in your career, you have to understand that you have to be intentional. I put some stats up here. Because these stats are exactly what I see when I deal with clients all day long, all day long, all day long. Now, I don't try to get stats and put things out there that actually kind of jive, if you will, with my theories. Right? I think it's important that you actually look at the data first, right, and then you can theorize, right? But what I've been seeing is exactly what this is right here. I've seen a lot of leaders who are overwhelmed, lonely, and that a lot of them, lastly, are lacking clarity, the direction, and where it is that they want to go, where it is that they want to go. And I know that sounds like a super broad kind of grandiose idea of like where do you want to go? Like it's that almost that interview question of where do you see yourself in 5 years type of deal. I completely understand how big that thing around clarity and direction can be. This is why you have to think about it in the context of yourself. You have to move away from all of the noise, from all of that other stuff, and kind of quiet yourself down. Quiet yourself down. And you have to be a little selfish. Keep calm and be selfish. Keep calm and be selfish. I know, I know. That word selfish is very hard for a lot of people. I know it has very negative connotations for so many people in society in and of itself. Oh my gosh, you're so selfish. Oh, you're so this. Oh, you're so. Listen to me. Selfish is nothing but setting boundaries, set standards, and then set expectations for your life. Period. Period. This time of year, it is a giving time of year. We give so much to your team, you give so much to your customers, you give so much to your companies. I was a young leader and I was just going full out this time of year. And the reason and my market was actually doing extremely well. And I had a leader friend, a good he was probably 2 or 3 years ahead of me, if you will, from just experience wise, maybe even a little more than that. And he said, Steve, like, dude, you need to slow down and you need to think about next year. And I'm like, dude, no, this is like, I don't know, this had to be about 20 years ago. And I said, no, I gotta go. I gotta keep, we gotta keep pushing. And he said, this is the perfect time of year for you to be a little selfish, for you to start to think about your 2020, whatever it was probably 19 something, to think about your 1999, for those of us of a certain vintage. And I remember struggling with that. I remember struggling with the idea that um, thinking about myself because my team needed me. Now, just because my team needed me, or excuse me, just because I needed to start to think about myself, doesn't mean that I had to be remiss in how I can still connect it and dealt with my team. You can do both. You can think about yourself, about where it is that you want to be, and also take care of your team. Right? This is the perfect time of year, this transition period of one year to the next, one season to the next. Because when we get to the next season, we tend to start to think, oh my gosh, then you start scrambling. You start scrambling, right? This is why resolutions that okay, I got to go to the gym. I'm trying to, get fit again, right? This is the worst time of year for me to try to get fit. And here's why, because all the commercials that you start to see is all about going to the gym. It's all about this. It's all about that. It's like the worst time, right? I'm pissed at myself because I didn't think about Q1, Q3, and Q2 when it comes to kind of like getting more physically fit. Now I'm getting inundated with all of this, like get fit, do this, all this, and I'm like, oh my gosh, and it's eating away at me. Same thing happens when you start to think about yourself as a leader in Q1 because you start to get all the corporate messaging. You start to get all the directions. We're going to be doing this year. We're going to be going here this year. And you're like, hold on for a second. What's the role that I play? Where do I fit in with all of this? How do I really kind of define myself right now as a leader? What it is? What are some of the things that I need to be doing, differently right now, right? And if you would have taken the requisite time before you get into the throes of something, and to really think about who you are, setting boundaries, setting standards, and setting expectations for your life, right? All of the messaging that kind of comes in, you're able to kind of filter it through. And you're able to kind of move through things a lot differently as well. Want to say good morning to Marissa and Robert. How are you doing? What's best for self is best for all. I love that, There you go. There you go. What's best for self is what's best for all. All right, so let's do this. 3 things to hold on to as you move into 2024. 3 things to hold on to as you move into 2024. Developmental discontent, your core values, and human connection. What does this mean? Developmental discontent. I love this time of year. I think I said it again. Because when you really start to think about like your next year, it can honestly be one of the best years of your life if you put the work in. If you put the work in. This quote here, it's not a Steveism, but I wish it was. When the fear of staying the same outweighs the fear of change, that is when we change. I wish that was a Steveism. I wish I would have thought of that one. When you start to think about your developmental discontent, we know that corporations are a lot of the corporations that we work for, especially in retail, it's very limited. It's very limited in their training and development. A lot of it has to do, of course, with pushing you towards some of the values of the company. Understandably so, you work for them. I get it, right? But when it comes time for your own individual leadership development, a lot of those training and developments and even some of the internal coaching falls flat. It falls flat because it's a cookie cutter mentality. It's a cookie cutter perspective. Those leaders that I work with, they want to go deeper in understanding who they are as an individual leader because they could actually do a lot more, not just for themselves, but for their team if they know more about themselves. This is why I called our learning community the campus. This is why I called it this campus. And here's why, real quick. It's because when you think about those of us who have been to school or even visited a campus, a university, where, whether it's, we're going to someone's graduation, things like that, it is that place. It is that place where there is a lot of learning. There is a lot of self-development. There is a lot of you really trying to figure out who you are as a leader, and you are taking this information in, and now you are formulating the ideas and concepts of who you are. But then guess what do you do after you leave the university? After you leave our campus, you take that information, you take who you are, and you put it back into the workforce. You put it back into the marketplace, where change where change happens, where impact happens, right? This is, people don't understand when you learn more about yourself, the goal of learning more about yourself is not just for yourself, but it's to actually impact the marketplace. When we see people get promoted, when we see other people that were like, oh my gosh, look at so and so, they've done this, they've done this, they've done that. They have actually taken, a lot of times they have taken who they are and they have actually been able to actually maximize it, put it back into the marketplace. Marketplace meaning their company, meaning their market, meaning their stores, whatever it may be, and actually been able to impact more people. So when we start to think about this developmental discontent, you need to continue to be frustrated and take that frustration about where you are and do something with that frustration. A couple things: intentional, challenging assignments. Identify your gaps and identify your gaps, not you gaps. Identify your gaps. You can't do this alone. You can't do some of this stuff by yourself. What do we just say? One of the stats I had, I think it was 70% of leaders were lonely. We're lonely. And I didn't want to delve too deep into that one because I'm going to save some of that information as we continue to move in this series. But that loneliness piece comes from the inability for you to have an authentic conversation about where you are. About where you are. This weekend, and I apologize, I didn't ask everybody how their weekend was, but this weekend, I actually had just my football team, my soccer team was horrible this weekend, so that was the worst part of my weekend. But this weekend, I had the opportunity. Sher Jones and I had the opportunity to really start to think and plan about 2024. We started to think about really who we were, and we took an inventory of our year. And we were, the interesting thing, we were so hard on ourselves. We were so hard on ourselves. And then we started to reframe the idea and perspective around achievement and around what it is that we actually got accomplished. And what we realized was that while there were different, milestones that we took that took place this year, the bigger achievements was around our mental capacity for growth and where we were to where we are right now. And now we can take all of that and move it into 2024. That is going to be one of the best years that we are going to ever have. This is what happens when you take the time. When you take the time, and that intentional challenging assignment, that I'm going to use that as it relates to that taking inventory of who you are. That's an assignment. That's something that you need to. That's just something that you really need to do, and you have to be honest with yourself. You have to be honest with yourself. You can't just take the good and like, oh my gosh, I crushed it this year. Cool, that's awesome. But I know there are different pieces for you as a retail leader where you may have fallen short, where you may now have to kind of think differently about where it is that you want to go, right? We're talking about being a little selfish this year. So number one was around that you need to hold on to, that you want to take into 2024 is your developmental discontent. I do not want to be part of the status quo. I refuse to be part of the status quo as it relates to where I am in my developmental journey. You have to be able to be selfish and do that. Okay, let's move to the next one. All right, core values. All right, give me a thumbs up if you. Okay, and this maybe the thumbs up piece is almost it's anonymous. It's anonymous. So hold on for a second. I guess your soccer team did just great. Marissa, I'm over here on LinkedIn. Marissa's an Arsenal fan and a supporter, and so yeah, I know, right? I know they. Okay. I'm not even gonna go there. I apologize. Let's talk about your core values for a second. Let's talk about your core values that you need to hold on to as you move into 2024. You got to use your core values to anchor everything that you do. You have to use your core values to anchor everything that you do. We are getting There's so much noise that's out here nowadays. There's so much noise. There's so much noise. And what I mean by noise is I can even be, I'm just going to be very honest with you. I think, things that I put out there, things that I talk about, I could be considered noise, if you will, in this developmental leadership space. But there are so many things that are vying for our attention, whether it's social media, people, or teams, all these different things. There's so many things that are vying for our attention, and I get it. And I get to the late night scroll like stuff on Instagram and stuff like, oh my gosh, oh it's so funny. I get it. I do it myself. But we also have to make sure that we bring ourselves back to the reality of getting things done, of aligning ourselves with our core values. I put this the second line on here because we're going to be talking more about this. This is almost sort of a tease because this is part of our part of our Make Our Move program that I have with senior retail leaders who are thinking about either making a move up, on, or out of the organization. The decode, devise, and deploy. When we start to think about who you are, there is a decoding process of all the information that you take in or that you have taken in throughout your entire career, your professional career. What does that mean? What do all those things truly mean? How do we kind of table maybe some of those ideas and some of those things that have been thrusted upon us? And now we can actually move into the core of who we are. Now we have to decode all of that information and make it into our own perspective. It's almost like it was a couple of weeks ago, the Matrix was on, right? If you haven't seen the Matrix, I'm sorry, this is really going to fall on deaf ears. But one of the scenes, the guy was looking into the computer, and he said, I have to decode all of this stuff. And he said, right now, there's so much information. All I see is this. All I see is this. All I see is that. He was constantly being bombarded with data and with information, and he wasn't really taking the time to kind of sit down and kind of decode and think about the information. Then you devise a plan, a perspective, a strategy, a tactical strategy around where it is that you want to go, and then you actually deploy it. You actually start to live those things out through your personal brand, through the actions that you take, through assignments that you get from a coach, through joining a community like the campus. All these different things, right? You actually have to deploy the information. You actually have to do something with it. Going back, action beats intention all day long. Action beats intention all day long. And when I talk about the core values, it goes right into the last piece around the personal brand. What solutions do you provide? What solutions do you provide? I'm just asking. When you start to think back around where you are right now in this year and where you want to move into 2024 as a retail leader, what solutions do you provide? Your personal brand and what you stand for, that is it's almost a billboard for who you are. I know personal brand is a word that's kind of gets thrown around so much, so much. But what I have seen as a retail leader, we have relied, this is going to help somebody right here. This is going to help somebody. We have relied so much on the brand of the companies that we work for. I get it. We align who we are with that company. And when it comes time for us to truly develop our own personal brand, we have a hard time decoupling ourselves because we're tethered to that company. You can do both. You can have a personal mission and vision for who you are and what it is that you want to stand for as a leader, and you can still work for that company. I had to do that. I had to learn that years ago, where I was pro whatever company I worked for. Man, you couldn't tell me anything about that company. Until that company didn't value my development. Until that company, till I realized was like, oh my gosh, hold on for a second. I don't even really realize who I am, what I want to stand for as a leader. I have been talking about this company's values and their perspectives for so long. What are my own? What is it that I want to stand for? Once I was able to do that, once again, I was able to take all of that information and learn more about who I was, right? Whether it was conferences, coaching, went to grad school, all of that stuff, taking all of that stuff, man, all those things kind of made Steve who he was, who I am today. Took it back into the marketplace, took it back into my company, and was able to be successful. Have a large degree of success. Now, when I do Worthy Retail, everything that I talk about, I'm able to talk about all the things that I wish I was able to speak about as a director of stores. I wish I was able to say a lot of the things that I want to say now. But when you're tethered and when you're connected to a company, you can't do that. So I am your mouthpiece. I am your advocate. I am saying a lot of the things that I know a lot of you want to say. I am helping you deal with and articulate, hopefully, a lot of things that you as a leader want to say, but really just can't right now. Really just can't right now. Just a couple of questions I think I have out here. Robert has a couple of comments. Says, you can lose your personal identity. You can do both. Yes. Can we do a show together that talks about setting goals? 100%. Absolutely, we can. Any action without an underlying value is an empty action. You nailed it. You nailed it. You nailed it. Let's move into the last thing that you need to hold on to. And I think this last one is really going to help you out too. This last one is really going to help you out. Human connection. Human connection. I know when I provide stuff, when I do my podcast or I do a live stream or even with our articles, who I was talking to, gentleman, per Eric, he runs a company called Reality Check. We were having a conversation around 360 assessments, right? You all know those 360 assessments. We're working on something together that is actually going to utilize our SMILE framework from an approachability standpoint for all of my for coaching and also for people within the community, so that they can actually really get a really good perspective of who they are. So I'm actually pretty excited about that process. But we were talking about just the ability to have human connection, and what does that look like? So I wrote here, AI is everywhere. Human connection is not. Real human connection is something that isn't going away, but it's not as prevalent as it was before. How many of you, when you think about just the ability to connect with people, text messaging, whether it's, here's the thing, I have done deals that were strictly emails, or they were strictly messages on Instagram, meaning that from a coaching and connection standpoint, there hasn't been human connection till like almost the very end. So there is a gap in our ability to truly connect with people. And the second point is moment of revelation. And I know that sounds super like, oh my God, it's like a movie, super broad. When I coach people and we do training, there is a moment when I am talking to that person or I'm training somebody, there is a moment of revelation that they get around something that I said. And it's just like, oh, and it clicks. And it really clicks. And it just really starts to resonate with that person. And I can see it just land and it hits home. when we start to think about the community and the campus that we are creating, the idea around this moment of revelation is so important for us, so important for me as I was putting it together, is because I want there to be these moments of revelation when you and I are connecting, when you are connecting with your peers who are actually going to be in this group, who are going to be in the community, right? It is where you can develop a network of like-minded leaders. From a coaching or a community, you can't do any of this stuff alone. You can't do 2024 alone. You just can't. If you think that you can do 2024 alone, go for it. Go for it. I learned this years ago. As a leader, I have to be able to have people around me that could speak into my life, that could challenge my assumptions, that can help me put a fresh perspective on stale problems, that provide there's no BS, right? And you know what BS stands for, no BS attached. Steve, that's horrible. That's not going to work. Or Steve, have you ever thought about this? What about this perspective? When you think about your next 12 months, Steve, what are you going to be doing differently? It's a question I ask. I'll give you a question that I ask all of my clients, And I don't care about giving the question away, because the question in and of itself, it is what it is. And if you're a coach, you can have this question too for your clients. It's a year from now. It's a very simple question. It's a year from now. And what is today's date? It's 12/4, December 4th, 2024. What has changed in your life, personally and professionally? And what did you do? What did you do to invoke or to provoke those changes? It's a very, very simple question. It's a very simple question. A lot of us can't answer that question. A lot of us can't answer it because we're not particularly sure, one, of our starting basis of where it is that we are, and then where it is that we want to go. A lot of us are so tethered, once again, to our company that by taking a step outside of that company and doing something different, whether it's external coaching, community connection, whatever it may be, it seems foreign to us, right? It's almost like, it becomes this thing of, all of us have probably done this exercise in different motivational conferences, right? We talk about change, right? You fold your arms one way, and then they say fold your arms the other way. It's super awkward. This is super awkward for me. I cannot do it. This is so awkward for me. That's what change feels like. That's what change feels like. But it's necessary. It's necessary in order for you to have a different perspective and a different level of understanding of where it is that you want to go in 2024. It is. I know. I don't talk. Those of you who have followed me for a while, I don't talk about the retail industry. I don't talk about AI. Well, in the context of technology in stores. I don't talk about tech. I don't talk about supply chain. I don't talk about just the industry. There are enough people that do that. So my stuff, everything that we talk about is specifically for the retail leader who has to execute all of those 40,000-foot initiatives. Everything that I talk about has to deal with you. How do you crystallize all of that information and actually make it into actionable steps for your team, task for your team? And how do you lead that? It's not just a matter of crystallizing and then kind of disseminating that information. You still have to lead those changes. And those are the things that we will be talking about as we continue to move forward in this series around getting ready for 2024. It is getting you ready as an individual senior retail leader to go out and grab all of this. The industry is going to do what the industry does, right? There are going to be changes that take place within your company that, for lack of a better word, are above your pay grade. and you won't have the ability to actually have a seat at that table. The change is actually just is going to be thrusted upon you. It happens. I've seen it. I've been part of it. I've been part of it. The change is going to be either thrusted upon you, or you can actually be part of that change. So, what's the last thing? I think I had one last thing. Just my final thoughts. When the fear of staying the same outweighs the fear of change, that is when we change. That is when we change. I know fear is such a strong word. Fear is such a strong word. I really want you to be able to think about change in the context of, what do I need to do before I really need to change? Before. That is so tough. That is tough, Steve. Steve, you're telling me to do the impossible. Steve, you're telling me to look at a crystal ball and to kind of see myself 6-12 months from now. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. But you can't do it by yourself. You can't do it by yourself. You know that old saying, you can't see the forest for the trees? When you are in it, right? You can't see it. It's similar to the Matrix. I'm gonna go back and utilize that analogy, right? People, when that movie, The Matrix, they couldn't see all of the craziness and all the other things that were going around them because they were in it. It wasn't until they got, guess what, plucked out of it, they were able to see all. They were able to see everything. They were able to see everything. And then Cher says, thank you, Cher. I love that framing of the need for coaching, fresh perspective on sales problems, 100%. Jamie says, human connection still works when the power goes out. I love that. Human connection still works when the power goes out. AI doesn't. Oh gosh, Jamie, you have a way with words, buddy, and I completely agree with that. Completely agree with that. Oh gosh. Okay. Next week we are going to be talking about. We talked about things that you need to hold on to, right? Things that you need to hold on to. Next week we're going to be talking about things that you need to let go. I can't wait. When I developed all of this information, these resources, months ago, kind of predicting different things for 2024. That's actually going to be probably the third part of this series. Are my predictions for the leader for 2024 and for the retail industry. So I'm excited about that one. But next week we are going to be talking about those things that you need to let go of. Because we just talked about things you need to hold on to, but there's also things that you need to let go of as you move into 2024. All right. Thank you so much for being here. If you are interested, once again, in connecting and joining the campus, you can go to worthy-retail-campus.com. Get more information about that. If you are a company and you have your team, your store ops team, your leadership team, your district team, and you want them to be a part of a movement, dare I say, that is really going to be taking the retail industry, the retail leadership journey by storm, right? All of the resources, all of the information and the teaching and training that I provide here, the coaching, all of that is going to be inside of that learning community where we're going to be action-oriented and get you solutions to some of the problems that you are facing every single day as a senior leader. All right, let me make sure I got everything going on and I'm good to go. Cool beans. All right. Thank you so much for being here this Monday. I will see you next Monday morning. Please go crush it. Go crush it where you are this week. Have a great day and God bless.